Treasury Star Parade. Produced under the personal direction of William A. Beecher, with David Berkman's orchestra and chorus and Frederick March and Neil Hopkins' timely satire entitled A Lesson in Japanese.
That's a strange way for the orchestra to introduce me. But this is a strange program we're bringing you today. This is a lesson in Japanese. It's a program the like of which has probably never been heard before in America. We thought you should know our enemy, your enemy, in the Pacific a little better. A fight in the dark is no good. It's no good to swing this way and that way. It's something unseen and unknown. So turn on the lights. Yes, turn on the lights and let's have a lesson in Japanese. And let's start with a simple little word, Bushido. Sounds harmless enough, doesn't it? There probably isn't one in 1,000 among you who've heard the word before. I was only introduced to it myself quite recently. Let's look at this word, Bushido. Let's sort of take it apart. Let's find out about Bushido. Not going to be easy. The truth of the matter is that everybody who writes or talks about the Japanese is a little bit foggy. We've always had the Japanese in a quaint little picture, including cherry blossoms and dainty little gardens. That is, until they framed us at Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941.
If you want to know who we are gentlemen of Japan. On many a base and job, on many a screen and fan.
Thus wrote William Schwenk Gilbert of the famous team of Gilbert and Sullivan in 1885. Yes, that was how Gilbert and Sullivan's 1885 Mikado got to the center of the stage. With music. Lovely, gracious music. But Mikado of 1942, who was called Hirohito, sometimes Hero Hitler, got to the center of the stage like this. That is called Bushido. Remember that, please, because it's the all-important first word in this lesson in Japanese. Bushido. Am I right about the pronunciation, interpreter?
Bushido. Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Class?
Bushido! Yes!
Yeah, thank you. Now, you all undoubtedly noticed the hiss, which is a basic characteristic of Japanese speech. But let's get on with our lesson. Bushido means a sort of code of living, what the gentlemen of Japan believe in. For instance, here in America, we believe in the Ten Commandments. The Japanese, wherever they are, believe in Bushido. You understand?
Yes, Mr. March, we understand.
Oh, you do you? Well, let's see if you understand. Here is example number 1. A lesson in Japanese, the word Bushido. The place somewhere in Java. In a small clearing, a captured American officer faces a Japanese lieutenant. The lieutenant speaks.
Naturally, we cannot be troubled to taking you with us as prisoner. So, there can only be one answer. I was telling you that my men are waiting for you on opposite side of those trees, with bayonets. I'm giving you a gentleman's way out. Here is pistol, it containing 1 bullet. You understanding?
Yes, I understand.
Very well. Taking the gun, please. Proceed. Bushido! Fire!
Did you hear him? Did you hear that Japanese lieutenant?
We heard him. Yes. That was Bushido.
And it's a very strange thing, but that young lieutenant was a living descendant of one of 10 strange little brown men who visited this country about 75 years ago.
If you want to know who they were gentlemen of Japan.
And they were ambassadors, sent here to ratify the new treaty between the United States and Japan. Now, our ancestors thought they were very quaint. And our newspapers of the period had many a chuckle over the peculiarities of the gentleman from Japan. How funny it was the time one of the Japanese gentlemen misunderstood the use of an earthenware vessel found under a hotel bed. Yes, it was very, very funny. And he pulled it out, turned it upside down, and used it for a pillow. The whole night through. Yeah, but wait. Our good-humored ancestors laughed at so many things those little Japanese men did. They laughed like anything when they found out that the Japanese were making little pen and ink sketches of practically everything American. They made sketches of ladies' dresses and men's hats, American buildings, American soldiers, Americans' machines, and of New York Harbor. In fact, everything and anything in American life, the whole way through. Well, why don't you laugh now? Our ancestors did. Are you wondering perhaps what the little men from Japan did with those so many pen and ink sketches? Well, can you connect that story with the skill of the Japanese in the use of the camera? Has this got anything to do with that wicked little word, Bushido? You bet it has. Listen, have you ever watched a well-trained monkey at a zoo? Have you seen how carefully he imitates his trainer? The monkey goes through so many human movements so well that he actually seems to be human. But under his fur, he's still a savage little beast. Now, consider the imitative little Japanese, who for 75 years has built himself up into something so closely resembling a civilized human being that he actually believes he is just that. But underneath it all is Bushido. I want to teach you to know that word Bushido better than you ever knew any word in your lives. We repeat it over and over because that's the way to learn. And remember, this is a lesson in Japanese.
Mr. March, how about that man? He makes me nervous. He's Japanese, isn't he?
What, the interpreter? Oh, yes, he's Japanese, but he's all right. He's an old friend.
You see, madam, I do not believe in Bushido.
But why not?
Because I am an American.
And that, too, we must remember. There are many Japanese who were born and raised in this country who are friends of ours. They hate and mistrust the Japanese way of life, Bushido, as much as we do. But let's get on. Consider still another descendant of those 10 little Japanese gentlemen who came to visit America some 75 years ago. Well, he lived among us. He even went to our colleges and our churches. And he went back to Japan to become Admiral-in-Chief of the Japanese combined fleets. And about a year before Pearl Harbor, Admiral Isuroku Yamamoto sat himself down to write a letter to a friend. Now, this is what he said. And, ladies and gentlemen, I am not kidding you. These are his very words.
Anytime war breaks out between Japan and the United States, I shall not be content merely to capture Guam and the Philippines and occupy Hawaii and San Francisco. I am looking forward to dictating peace to the United States in the White House at Washington. Oh, yes.
He's nuts!
Quite so. But more than that, he is a true product of Bushido, the Japanese way of being, doing, and thinking. Shall we consider rape?
What?
It was wintertime when the Japanese came to Nanking, and through the bare trees, the girls of the college could clearly see the detachment of soldiers moving up the road from the city. It didn't trouble them. The guarantees for their safety had been signed. Only the directress was concerned. She thought to herself,
Well, I suppose this is going to cost us some more food.
the detachment of soldiers moved on toward the college. And in a little while, a military car tore up the road behind them, looped around them, and turned into the driveway. Well, presently, the directress was facing a Japanese officer in the lobby.
We are perfectly willing, of course, to do our share. But our stocks of food are low now for all the mouths we have to feed.
How many do you feed?
Well, there are quite a number.
Yes. How many? How many girls are here?
I don't exactly know.
There are 500 girls registered at this institution. Am I not correct?
I suppose so. Why?
You will instruct them to line up in the yard outside, please.
But why?
Do not be concerned. We will not eat them. They will be conducted by my men to the city.
For what purpose?
Purpose? A very special purpose. They are to perform a valuable service to the troops of the Emperor.
Oh, no. No! Don't touch me! Let me go! Let me go!
Bushido.
Yes, truly. 500 young women, all of them with mothers and fathers somewhere, who never saw them again. And this wasn't a case of men running wild as in the streets of Shanghai. This was deliberately planned, organized kidnapping. And its purpose was, well, you tell us. Let us begin a little test now. I want you to listen carefully, for you are to give me the correct answer to this. Imagine, if you will, that we are back again in the jungles of Java. We are in a little clearing where 5 American soldiers, captives, had been paired off with 5 Japanese soldiers. The American soldiers' hands are tied behind their backs. Flies buzz about their sweat-drenched faces. One of the 5 has just recently been struck across the forehead with the butt of a pistol. He had not understood the Japanese non-commissioned officer. He had not moved quickly enough. There is blood on his face, and the flies trouble him more than they do the others. His name is Leroy. That's his first name. And standing there in the jungle with his head throbbing with pain, he's thinking right now that he never did like the name. It's a silly thing to think about when you're about to die, isn't it? Or is it? What would I think about if I were about to die, I wonder? But wait. The Japanese non-commissioned officer is pointing now toward the jungle. He makes a motion. It means walk. Well, Leroy has learned a lot about sign language in these 3 days on the trail, but this is different. They are not to move along single file anymore. Leroy moves off with a Japanese soldier behind him, the point of the bayonet prodding him just a little. And the 4 other American soldiers move off into the jungle in 4 different directions. The bayonet is pressed harder against Leroy's back. He walks a little faster, harder, and a little faster, harder, and a little faster. The jungle air is damp and heavy, and his head swims with the heat and the pain of his wound. That bayonet again, harder. Leroy is thinking, well, I can't walk any faster without running. It's funny about that. You can walk fast up to a certain point, and then you're not walking anymore. You're running. Running. Is that what the Jap wants me to do? To run? Well, suppose I did run. Suppose I was able to run so fast that he can never reach me with the bayonet again. Why not? Faster. Yes, faster. I'm running now. Running. The bayonet's gone. It's gone. He can't touch me now. Well, can you give me the answer to that little game?
Yes. Bushido. Yes.
Well, there you are. A lesson in Japanese. And the meaning of that word, Bushido. I'm sure you'll never forget it. And I don't want you to forget it. And maybe later on, we'll have another lesson in Japanese. We'll see.
As long as there's an American alive in the world, there's not going to be enough room in it for him and a word like Bushido. Are you doing your share? If you're investing at least 10% of your regular income in war savings, bonds, and stamps, you are entitled to display the new Treasury sticker and wear the new Treasury 10% war bond buttons. They're your badge of honor as Americans. You can obtain them, a sticker for your house and a button for each member of your family, from your payroll savings officer or from your city, county, or state war savings administrator. If you're not investing your quota of at least 10% of your income, then begin today so that you, too, can display these emblems of your patriotism.